Oh, nice. I'm just going to apply the computer just in case. Our little beep. Oh, Brayden. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Braden.
Hey,
How you doing?
not too bad. You doing all right yourself?
Yeah, not too shabby. It's after a extra long weekend here in Canada. We had a Canada yesterday.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's a extra long, extra long weekend for you guys. Short
mm,
week for us.
exactly. Then you guys get the
Yeah,
extra long weekend. Do you have both Thursday and Friday off?
that's a great question. It's America's birthday, so I mean it's pretty important to me.
I
But
agree. Yeah, I think you
you
need
know,
both days off to properly celebrate, you know?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's a real good point. You know
Yeah,
what? I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna put it in my front pocket, and I might present that to the powers that be.
yeah, exactly. No worries. Too funny. So we'll just wait for a lot of some people to join in here before we get started. Oh, sorry, I might have just misclicked there.
No, that's my fault. I was over there clicking buttons.
Oh, you're the culprit.
Yeah, it was me. I was like, I wonder what this does.
Yeah, what about this? Click.
I've got too much control over here.
Yeah, that was our first mistake, right? Braden, give me that.
Yeah, you guys should have put me on like a non-edit version. I'm just a viewer.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, we'll see. Will I be much better? We'll find out very very soon.
That's true. I don't even know. It's my first webinar with you, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exciting. Yeah, this is actually my first yeah, like live session with a payment processor. So I'm excited to chat about.
That's good news.
Yeah,
I can find the positivity in that
yeah.
to an extent. It's one of the things we deal with the industry, which payment processing is really not talked about that much. Is one issue.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think it'll be a good session. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining. We'll get started here as some people keep moving in. So, I want to introduce myself. My name is Austin Bernhardt. I'm with Charge Automation here, and I'm joined with Braden Murphy. So, we're both account executives for our respective companies at Charge Automation and ClearView. Excited to chat a little bit about, just the relationship between, the property management industry with payment processors, how it all kind of works together with PMSs, and how both companies are kind of working together to build a seamless integration for our users, right? And making sure that we talk a little bit about some of what's going on in the industry when it comes to payments and all that fun stuff. So the big thing we'll want to talk about is we don't want to kind of do a sales pitch here. We're going to keep it very casual, more conversational, to make sure that each person that's listening in does get a good understanding of what the current market situation is. And yeah, we'll kind of talk about PMS integrations, reducing payment errors, cutting out different types of chargebacks, and saving on transaction fees. So yeah, Braden, do you want to add anything to your introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Braden Murphy. I'm account executive at ClearView Merchant Consulting, ClearView for short, if you like, and we are a payment processor specifically tailored towards the vacation rental industry, one of the coolest industries out there.
The most exciting industry, right?
Yeah, it's fun,
Yeah,
right? Who doesn't love
exactly.
a good vacation?
Right? Fantastic. So during this live session, we'll be doing live Q&A. So please plug in your questions as they come up. We'll do our best to answer them as we're moving through the conversation. And of course, we will actually have a proper Q&A session at the end of the discussion. So if you want to save them for then, that's also okay. So maybe we'll start our, conversation on, what really does, a proper integration look like between like, a PMS and a payment processor. And, maybe Braden, if you want to kind of jump
Hmm.
into, what is kind of like the status quo and what,
Yeah.
you guys are doing a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, a lot of the property management softwares, if you will, I guess more like the veteran ones that have been around for longer might have some preferred payment gateways that they use, that they develop in, when they first started out, and that's just what they've commonly used. Now we do see that some of the landscape is changing in the payment gateways, the preferred payment gateways, just to do with functionality, right? When it comes to the ability for Apple Pay, Google Pay, mobile wallets, even crypto, things of that nature, just different uh, payment avenues that would be available. But for the most part, there's pretty much commonly used payment gateways, which again, that is the connection line from your property management software, or really just your software that you're using to your payment processor, right? Just think of it as the communication line where the flow of transactions is filtered through to get it to us to be batched and sent back to you. But I mean, a proper integration does start with the development in between the property management software and the payment gateway. Your payment processor is just plugged into whatever payment gateway you're using for the most part. ClearView is unique in that aspect,
Hmm.
that we are pretty agnostic when it comes to payment gateway. Whatever preferred payment gateway the property management software would like for us to use, we'll use it and we will write to it. So we kind of make that process a little bit more seamless.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And yeah, I guess that's a big thing too about, these, like you said, these large PMSs, they, kind of work
Hmm.
with just the one, like, major, payment gateway or payment processor. And
Hmm.
really it's not that, that's the problem, right? Is this is just another industry for them to, take advantage of, do payments for, when Clearview is really like building out processes and building their product around the property management
Yeah,
industry.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's like it's something that you do want augmented. I mean, obviously, in our opinion, because that is how we operate.
Hmm.
But really, what you consider Clearview is, an employee of yours that is strictly focused on your payment processing, whether it's ACH or credit card processing,
Right.
and that is our forte. Right? And we monitor that account personally. Any
Hmm.
of the accounts that I service, I monitor them personally. We have an in-house support team and a back-of-house support team. So we have a three-tiered system that's constantly monitoring your account for any sort of hiccups or any tickets that you submit or questions that come up, and of course, you know, the evil chargebacks that do take place from time to time,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about those definitely in a little
Hmm.
bit. That's for sure. And yeah, no, I think that the human approach is really nice because yeah, I've heard definitely a lot of stories about the lack of support from like these big payment processors that you have. This is your lifeblood. This is you know
Hmm.
revenue coming in and out of the companies of these property management companies, and it means a lot to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's perfect. So thanks for that, little overview about kind of, yeah, Clearview's position. I think it's really important to talk about. And of
Yeah.
course, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I was thinking I was happy to go into more, some of the items, bullet points listed here
Sure.
on the slides. Clearview, kind of the mission behind what we're trying to provide for this industry is transparency.
Mm.
Hence the name, right? When it comes to payment processing, a lot of people they don't understand the lingo. They have no idea what takes place in a transaction. They don't understand why they're charged being what they're being charged, and a lot of them, for the most part, that we reveal is they have no idea what they're being charged at all, right? They're just getting a monthly amount pulled out of their bank account
Right.
if they are on a monthly, on a batch system that's set monthly, and they have no idea why, right? And so we provide, a full analysis, on your current merchant statements. We'll show you the ins and outs of what's taking place. We can walk through that if that's something that you wish to do, to really just provide that education and say, like, look, this is what's taking place now. This is what would take place if you worked with us, and now it's your choice. And when it comes to the tailored ship towards the industry, real estate and vacation rentals from a banking standpoint or underwriting standpoint is considered high risk, right?
Right.
And so what you run into with payment processors that aren't tailored, whether they're, big name payment processors that so you kind of give this misplaced loyalty to them. And a lot of the property management softwares use some of those big names because of the connectivity. There's a little less development that has to be done to be able to
Yeah.
connect into. It's more of a click of a button. But what you run into in the end, of course, is the lack of the education or transparency on what you're actually paying. You
Mhm.
know, so you have that issue up front. But you think, plug and play, everything's good to go, and then all of a sudden, 12 months later, you're getting hit with a rolling reserve fund that they say, hey, we've been monitoring your account, and due to the fluctuation in volume, the fluctuation in your high and low ticket yield,
Uh,
we're thinking that your business is a little too risky to do business with, right? And eventually it gets to that point where um, they'll implement a reserve funding hold and say, hey, we need to hold 10, 20, 30% of your annual volume, and we're just going to take your money and hold it, just in case, for
right, right.
whatever reason. And
Yeah,
so
I've seen.
ClearView, from an underwriting standpoint, we completely eliminate all that. We get rid of that completely, and so we work specifically and have specific agreements and relationships with our underwriting issuing banks,
Mhm.
for that very reason, that understand the nature of the business,
Yeah.
right? So everything that's performed on a daily basis just looks normal.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely like a huge pain point I hear from property management companies I'm talking with is, their current payment processors, yeah, just holding, 25% of their funds because of the risky industry that
Hmm.
we're in. And yeah, for a property management company that has, like less than 25 properties,
Oh
every
gosh,
penny coming
yes.
in and
Hmm.
out can mean, living or dying, right?
Yeah.
So I do find that, yeah, that's such an important aspect of really clearly, Clearview taking an understanding of the market and creating a solution that actually does
Hmm.
work for these.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
It becomes a quite an issue because, I mean, in the property management business, a lot of that money does not belong to the property manager, right? And
Yeah.
so when all of a sudden you're getting told that, this funding reserve is coming out, if you don't accept that, then you're just going to have to disconnect your payment processor and find a new one. So now you can't even process payments if you want to switch and get out of that situation, or you just bite the bullet, and then now all of a sudden, that amount of revenue that's being held, you got to take it out of your operations account to pay off your owners,
Yeah.
right?
100%. And yeah, that's the thing too. It's like a lot of people when, you know, payment processors are shutting down their accounts, then it's like, okay, I don't have a clear and easy way to collect payments from my
Mhm.
guests, and that becomes, yeah, a huge operational problem. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I guess that's another good segue into just positioning where charge automation kind of fits all into this is
Yes.
is connecting payment processors to the property management system and then automating all those payments, because of course payments are inherently a guest experience process. So we want to make
Hmm.
sure that the entire guest experience is positioned into one continuous flow. So your guests don't really have to jump from one link to another to do rental agreement, ID verification. We kind of do all of that and let ClearView, for example, process those payments in the background, which is
Yes.
really nice flow.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like charge automation, from, you know, all the bells and whistles that you all do offer, and then on top of that, you're kind of like the a hidden gem for us, where, a lot of the property management softwares out there that don't have kind of put payment processing development on the back burner,
Mhm.
or from any, like, direct development or direct partnership, and they only allow for one payment processor, which, in our opinion, kind of backs clients into a corner. It's like, well, you should, let them choose who they want. And
Yeah.
so Charge Automation, who has a very, very, very broad connectivity
Yes.
setup, where all the softwares will use them and be able to, we can connect through Charge Automation to be able to process any of the payments. And
Yeah.
so it's, to us, it's extremely helpful and has been extremely helpful. And it's the same exact integration, right? We're just
Yeah.
connecting to you, acting as if you are the property management software. And we're just connecting to Charge Automation through a preferred payment gateway. So it's a seamless process, and it allows you to, add all these, um, extra or preferred steps to your process, and then use a payment processor that you trust and know.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel like the biggest benefit of this type of flow is that when I'm talking to different property management companies, their current payment setup is oh, okay, we send out a payment link or we ask for information via email, and you know
Hmm.
there's a lot of manual tasks that take up a ton of time, and at times it's not a very secure way to collect this sensitive information. So um, giving these guests an option and a flow that is a professional and secure way to do it. This adds a lot of trust. I think this
Yeah.
conversation really is all about trust between yourself, the property management company, and the guests, right?
Hmm.
So having this this flow does really assist in that trust building
Yeah,
exercise.
no doubt whatsoever. And, coming from like an automation, in Charge Automation's name in the
Yeah.
payments arena, it really does make a lot of sense. And it for the most part, you would imagine that it is, the common theme without the industry, because,
Mhm.
when someone decides in their mind after looking at the description of your property that they want to book, well, they want to get that done, right now.
Right.
And so you don't want them leaving or having to go back and forth. So that flow from the beginning start of that process to implementing payments or upsells or add-ons, and all the verification steps, it's like you just want to go that one by one by one. So every time they click to the next page, they're like, okay, well, I got to do this to get to the end, and I got to do this to get to the end, instead of, them thinking that they got to the end because maybe they paid, or they haven't paid, or that they booked it,
Right.
and they haven't paid yet, thinking that they got to the end, and all of a sudden now they're getting phone calls and emails or text messages from, the property manager, and they're like, well, what is this? I thought
Yeah.
I was done
I thought
here.
we're all
Like, oh gosh, I gotta go back.
done.
It's the flow definitely matters.
100%, yeah. And it also kind of, reduces the ability to, like, for errors, right? The
Mm,
double charging a guest or having failed payments. Like, these are
yeah.
the realities of a day-to-day um, you know, property management company. And yeah, having a flow like this definitely helps. So maybe we can
Hmm.
switch gears, Braden, and talk a little bit more about, chargebacks too, and how
Yeah.
this how kind of the approach to chargebacks and how
Hmm.
maybe Clearview, yeah, looks at them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's great to have the conversation with you guys over here at Charge Automation, because really, the highest recommendation right now is a proactive approach towards
Mhm.
chargebacks, which starts with guest verification, right?
Right.
So front and back photos of IDs, maybe a selfie or a video of that sort. Of course, signed rental agreement,
Yeah.
in detailed descriptions underneath properties, especially if there's anything, specifically payment related. And then really on the back end, it's more or less of fighting the chargebacks, in a timely manner, right?
Yeah.
So with us, you do have, again, that triple tiered system. You'll be notified via email, you'll be notified via snail mail, and of course, me and our team over here at ClearView, we're constantly monitoring the accounts for chargebacks, and
Oh,
we'll notify you as well, and we kind of work with you side by side to say, like, hey, we need to gather all that information, which hopefully they're working with Charge Automation. We're implementing some sort of guest verification process where they have some of the information up front, right? And then you compile that and you submit it, and then you just kind of do one of those. And it just, that is the way that it is, and it is unfortunate that it is set up for property managers or hosts in that way. But
mhm.
the other thing, besides just gathering that information that takes place when you implement a guest verification process, is it kind of keeps the riffraff out, right? Because now it's like, okay, well, if you require this to book one of your properties, somebody that is maybe trying to perform some sort of fraudulent activity, well, they're not putting their front and back photo ID or taking a selfie or signing that rental agreement right up front. Like, they're not going to do
Exactly.
any of that. And so when they see that, they're like, well, I guess I'll just, go down to the road and find the property manager that
Mhm.
doesn't implement those sort of
Mhm.
processes. So
Yeah.
chargebacks, um, it is one of the arenas where people just like want to know more, and it's like, what is the answer? Like, how do you win them all? And it's like, well, you don't, because the the end decision is not up to either us or the payment processor. It's up to the issuing bank, the credit card networks, right?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I guess not unfortunately, but in their mind, their customer is the cardholder. So they're going to
Exactly.
find every single way possible that they can to award that cardholder the dispute,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
And
and
so
that's the
you have to
problem.
do everything that you can to fight it. And if you
Mhm.
have it good and compiled information that shows that you clearly did what you said you were going to do, and you provided the service or refunded the service based on, a cancellation, your implementation of a cancellation process, and you have that guest verification information, it's like, well, your odds of winning it are as high as
Mhm.
they can be.
Yeah, no, exactly, and it's all about that, is increasing those odds, and, very
Hmm.
nice, kinda learned something new. I didn't realize, like, how involved Clearview is, like, with those chargebacks for, your customers,
Hmm.
so that is
Yeah.
really interesting because that's the biggest thing, right? It's like these property management companies, they're, fighting tooth and nail, kinda on their own with these, big banks or credit card companies trying to, you know,
Yeah.
show, "Hey, no, I did deliver this service," I can't stop that the guest is just now trying to get a free trip out of me. And that's a big thing too. It's, there's two types of chargebacks that, are probably everybody in this call understands is, yeah, those actual fraudulent chargebacks where someone is stealing and using someone else's credit card. And then, of course, when that credit card owner finally realizes that it happens, yeah, those type of chargebacks, you're going to lose every single time unless you're preventing them from happening in the first place. And that's a really nice thing that Charge Automation does with Clearview is,
Hmm.
it's protecting from those chargebacks, those types of chargebacks from even happening in the first
Hmm.
place.
Very
Uh,
important.
yeah, exactly. And then, creating that evidence, that hard evidence to fight back against chargebacks. That's exactly what is able to happen, making sure that, yeah, like Braden said, this is the best chances that you have to
Hmm.
win those chargebacks.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, maybe we want to talk a little bit about, another big topic that comes up with payment processing is those transaction fees. So
Hmm.
Maybe talking a little bit about, your approach to those transaction fees and how, having a lower transaction fee does not equate to, a lower level of service or abilities
Oh
for
yeah.
customers.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting sometimes. When we're giving proposals to potential clients, after we run the analysis, we show them how much they could save. We show them how we do some processes different, and help educate them a little bit more on, the cost of credit card processing. Uh, the famous line is like, "All right, what's the catch?" Because like this is too good to be true. So you guys are gonna, provide the hands-on account management. You're gonna provide hands-on chargeback support. You have the integration with our software already, but you're gonna do it for less. You're gonna lower my rates or even eliminate our processing fees altogether. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the nature of the vacation rental industry that you are technically an e-commerce business. You provide, a brick and mortar product at the end, but
Hmm.
as far as payment, it's mostly untouched. It's all
Yeah,
online, right? And so you have to accept credit card payments in this industry. And so why should you be punished by, you know, your payment processor provider wanting to charge you extremely high fees, like, you're in a different industry,
yeah,
right? So with ClearView, after we run that analysis, is we implement what we call interchange optimization, right? So we make sure you're correct on the SIC code, which does matter in this industry.
yeah.
So we make sure that you're put on that to lower the interchange rates, and then of course we eliminate any fluff fees or any interchange padding. There's a lot of different. Uh,
A lot of very, like, detailed payment stuff that, is even relatively new to me, which is really exciting.
yeah.
Because, this is the big thing that I noticed between, like, Clearview and, like, those other large payment processors is, like, they look at the industry and they go, "Oh, that's making a lot of money. That looks pretty lucrative, but I don't understand it. So I'm just gonna slap
Hmm.
my biggest transaction fee on there and
Yeah.
just kind of see how it goes. Add my risk features in to, strangle the market as much
Hmm.
as I want, and then, reap the benefits." But it seems like, Clearview, you guys really honed in what's important here, where are the pains, and let's create something that actually works for the industry. So I really
Yeah.
like.
No, absolutely. And I mean, in comparison to there are payment processors in the vacation rental industry that are seasoned or good companies, and they've been around,
Of course.
for some time, right? But the shift that has taken place is after time, and some of the lack of support is what has taken place, and people not even realizing or being educated on the fact that it's like, oh no, like your bottom line can be completely reconstructed because of how much money you could be saving on your credit card processing fees. And it just kind of passes to the or sits in the back of the mind that you would imagine, property managers will think of or not think of at all, but they just don't really have the time to look into it. That's exactly what Clearview has the ability to do.
Mhm.
So we identify where those savings can take place. We lower your processing costs, and we also do have a fully compliant, uh, reverse my fees model that what can allow you to push the fees onto the guest if your company is
Mm.
ready for it, right? A
Yeah.
lot of companies, um, they're hesitant on that model because they're afraid of the pushback. But over 70% of Clearview's clients are on our reverse model. We've never had a client implement our reverse model and then switch back to a traditional model, right? And so that's a kind of a testament in itself, because there really is little to no pushback. Because with our reverse model, you're not really cornering the guest, right? Because they have the ability to pay you via ACH and avoid having to pay, any extra, credit card processing fees.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
they have that ability.
No, I get you. And that's the other thing. It's like, I find at times like this is where like the devil's in the details, right? Because for a property management company, saving even like let's call it a percent on their transaction fees from their, old payment process
Hmm.
to their new, like this can be, hundreds if not thousands of dollars in savings over, the months and years depending on the overall
Yeah.
portfolio size. That really does end up, making a huge difference to that cash
Oh
flow,
yeah.
to the overall profitability of the company. So yeah, these little decisions matter, and I think some of these big payment processors are just kind of saying, well, no one's really paying attention to those
Yeah,
things, so why not?
exactly. And hey, by all means, like they're providing that service, and I think from that perspective, what they're saying is like, well, I mean, if a property manager is a property manager, they should be looking into all aspects of, their processes. And we kind of feel like, well, who in the heck would think about their credit card processing? And it's like, no, we're going to go out there and put our best foot forward and say like, hey, have you ever thought about this? If not, we can show you some things.
Mhm. Yeah, no, we're just obsessed. We're just obsessed with optimizing the property management industry, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
That's what it's all about, exactly. Fantastic. So, yeah, I think when it comes to, we've kind of talked a little bit about, how we're how both companies are kind of working together to optimize um, the payment flows and
Hmm.
making sure that we're keeping things professional, we're keeping things clear for the guests and saving money while doing it.
Hmm.
um, of course we haven't talked too much about any of the other aspects of the guest flow, like upsells, generating more revenue
Yeah.
for customers. That's always a big thing that a lot of property management companies are kind of always humming and hawing about. But that's a really great thing about um, you know this relationship that Clearview and Charge Automation have, is making that process very easy to you know process a lot more transactions at a lower
Hmm.
rate with you guys, and then just making 40-50 dollars more per booking can mean all the difference as well, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that there's a clear and easy way to get those upsells moving can really change, move the needle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we were mentioning at the beginning of this conversation was about the flow, right?
Hmm.
To where the implementation of using, a process that Charge Automation provides is, some of those upsells or add-ons can be automatically added into that booking and
Hmm.
be either processed individually, or I know that you have the ability to process as a sum
Right.
of the whole of the total if you want to. And then it can kind of be, processed after the fact as well with you guys. So if they think about it and they're going back and they're, you know what, I thought I saw maybe there's, beach umbrellas that we can order to be able to take to the beach, or like we can get the hot tub turned on before we arrive, things like that. Just the weird nick and crannies that people don't
Yeah,
really think of conveniences that you can provide to your guests. But of course, you want that process to be seamless when it comes to accepting those payments. And through Charge
exactly.
Automation, it's completely automated. It's
Yeah.
automatically done, and it's processed through your same payment processor.
Mhm.
That way, all those upsells and whatnot can be, from a transaction standpoint, can be batched along with the main transaction, which is the rental booking,
Yeah.
right? And then all that money kind of flows and gets to you in time.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's yeah, super super helpful, because when both of the connection here is taking care of the payments, that means that the only thing left is actually to execute on the experience, on the upsell. So it's
Mhm,
not,
yeah.
property management companies trying to say, okay, you want this, the beach towels, you want
Oh,
the
such a
early
good
checkout,
point. Yeah.
sending the emails, trying to collect the payment. When all of this is done automatically and easily, then
Yes.
Charge Automation is just sending over to the PMS saying, hey, Austin that's staying with you is looking for those beach towels or the umbrellas, they want to book a tour, then it's just your team executing on providing that upsell instead of
Yes, the
the
provision.
details that
Yeah,
they don't care about, right? Guest doesn't say,
exactly.
I
Leave
don't
the
want
boring stuff to us.
to leave the boring stuff to us. Exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't know, you're probably talking to a lot of different property management companies. Any like
Mhm.
little stories about, payments or, yeah, any sort of situation? Can you think of any like
Yeah.
real life examples of
Yeah,
what's going
gosh,
on
every day.
every day?
Every day. Yeah, because I mean we offer those analysis up front, right? And so
Mm,
that's kind of the starting point is like opening up that story of like, hey, this is what you've been doing this whole time, and you didn't even realize like this is how much you're being charged, or this is why you're being charged.
yeah,
Depending, of course, on your monthly volume, the saving, the amount of savings can go up and down. But I mean, we've definitely given proposals out there and now work with companies that realize like, oh, by implementing your traditional model or our reverse my model, we can save anywhere from $50,000 a year to $200,000 a year,
yeah,
right? Just because they sent us over some credit card merchant statements and waited until we analyzed them, right?
mhm,
And like our process is very seamless. That's the other thing, because of the seasonality of this industry, where it's fun to be able to get clients over that hump of making the switch, and then after we've told them like, hey, truly like an implementation like this is it's just a bunch of waiting around for you. We're doing all the work. We're building the gateway,
yeah,
working with underwriting to get everything to give to you to hop on a call and help you do it, with you to plug in this gateway. All we need you to do is fill out this application, and they realize like, okay, so, and then we get it plugged in, everything's done. We get that done within, a week or so. And they're like, so you're telling me that in the matter of this week, I spent maybe a total of 30 minutes, which was, you
right,
know, 10 minutes on a initial call. Then they spent maybe 5 minutes getting their credit card merchant statement sent over to me. And
right,
then after that, to move forward, all they did was fill out an application that takes 5 minutes. And then maybe it was a 10-minute call to get everything plugged in. So 30 minutes is
yeah,
all it took for me to save $100,000 a year,
yeah,
$20,000 a year, $15,000 a year. Maybe it's 5,000, depending on your amount of properties that you service. But still, and then, like you mentioned earlier, zoom out. 5 years from now, how much money is that you've
100,
now saved? And so it is funny to virtually see the kind of the look on their faces of like this discovery of like, oh wow. I'm like,
wow,
yeah, just checking on your credit card processing fees is the easiest way to save money in this industry.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of it. Same thing like with, I know I've seen like a property management company saying, "Oh yeah, I collect a security deposit and then I refund it." It's like, okay, so you're getting dinged twice
Yeah, you
for
shouldn't do
that.
that.
Exactly. Like, okay, let's
And
let's
they're like,
just
what? I didn't
a
know.
whole yeah, from a charge to an authorization and just boom, you're saving, hundreds or
Exactly.
thousands of dollars depending on the size. And, it's all about risk, right? Like as long as you know that those authorizations are legitimate and, it doesn't matter if you're actually holding it, it doesn't change anything for your security, it does really make a difference.
Hmm. Most
So,
definitely.
yeah, perfect. So I don't know if we have any questions because I know we're around that time where we would do some questions.
I guess we just answered everything so perfectly.
We exactly. Everyone's
Yeah,
like,
we
wow,
went through all the things. They're like, oh, well, I was going to ask a question, but they answered it already.
yeah, too funny. Give me a sec. Awesome. Uh, now, any final thoughts about the perfect? Any thoughts about or any final thoughts to add here, Braden, about the our integration?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, working with Automation is always a great time. You guys have a fantastic team over there, and we
Mhm.
do feel that you feel the same way about ClearView. This webinar is great. We love educating clients. That's, hence our name, ClearView Merchant Consulting. At the front end, we're, just wanting to give you that visibility and allow for you to make, a responsible and reasonable decision for your company, right?
Mhm.
And your owners and guests involved. And so, all things considered, working together has been an absolute blast. We're looking forward to the future, most definitely, and it's one of it's one of the best setups that you can have. Again, working with charge automation through the flow, through those processes, and then guaranteeing that somebody has your back on the payment processing side of things.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be hard for me to turn down.
Yeah, no, I get you. And I could that's the big thing, right? It's like a lot of property managed companies like, yeah, I'm collecting payments right now. It's no problem. It's like if it ain't broke, still look to fix it because you could probably be saving a
Or
lot
make
of,
it
of
better.
money.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, if it ain't broke, well, it's like, yeah, don't fix it. But it's like we're not fixing anything, we're improving here,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So no, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, thank you so much for
Yes.
for your time, Braden. So, of course, if anyone is curious to chat a little bit more in detail, specifically about
Hmm.
your company, here's our info here. So feel free to yeah, reach out to both Braden and myself. Um, we'll talk through anything you need, and yeah, hopefully save a little bit of money in the process, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Time
Yeah.
and money, time and money, money and time.
Perfect. Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Braden, for the chat. Hopefully we can do this again soon. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll find some new topics or relevant things to chat about. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Austin.
Perfect. Awesome.